Hello there, my dear students. This is a short summary about the last topic we had this week in grammar. Today is Wednesday, June 24th, 2020, and let's review the topics we saw today so you can have an idea of the homework you're going to develop for this class. Remember, if you have your book at home, you can find these topics on these pages 354 onto page 361. The class is divided in these sections. We're going to analyze and explain the fragments, the phrase fragments, clause fragments, and finally run-on sentences. So very quickly, here we have another design for these topics, the way they are divided or qualified. Let's begin with fragments. Remember, the fragment is just one part of a sentence, so they cannot stand alone as a sentence because they make no sense by themselves. Remember that we have already seen clauses, so if you want to recall this topic, I'm going to leave the description in this video so you can review this part of the topic. So I'm going to give you 4 examples of fragments. Remember, they are not full sentences, they do not express a full idea, so we need another element to make them clearer. So we have in this column we have 4. We have number 1, in the early evening, feel happy and relaxed, the sign of the rehearsal hall, and the violinist performing the concerto. So if you read them individually, they make no sense. So some of them need subjects, others need verbs, or others need a complement or an object. So how can I fix this? The first one, I can say, for instance, the flight arrived in the early evening. So now it's a complete thought, it's a complete sentence. Now I can add a subject. I use the first pronoun, which is I, and I can say I feel happy and relaxed. That's all I need. On the third one, we have the sign of the rehearsal hall indicated the audition's results. So here we have a complete thought or a complete idea. And finally, the violinist performing the concerto was missing, maybe in this case, the verb to be. So now, correctly, I can say that the violinist was performing the concerto. So this is the way we can create some fragments. So if we move forward, we'll find phrase fragments. Remember, we have different types of phrases. If you don't remember the phrases, I can leave you another description for you. So we know that a phrase is a fragment. They cannot stand alone as sentences because they lack either a subject or a verb, and they must not be capitalized and punctuated as though if it were a sentence. For example, I have this one. The explorers left for the Arctic, period, on the morning of March 4th. This is incorrect because we know that both sentences, and I'm going to say sentence and the second one with quotation marks, they're not sentences. The first one, it is, but the second one, it doesn't tell me anything. So I need to join these 2 elements so I can have a full idea. So now I can say the explorers left for the Arctic on the morning of March 4th. Another example is arriving at the airport, period. That makes no sense. The prince and princess were greeted by cheers. So what can I do here? The only thing I have to do is to delete the period and turn it into a complete idea or a complete sentence. And I can say arriving at the airport, the prince and the princess were greeted by cheers. Let's move this. This is like a practice. We can change phrases, fragments into sentences. Remember, phrases, we have many types of phrases. Participle phrases, we have noun phrases, adjective phrases, and prepositional phrases also. So we have near the park, we have touch in his hand, and to play well. They are not sentences, they're fragments. So they need another element to make a complete thought. So I can say, for example, that the band played a tribute near the historic park. Now it's a complete sentence. Or touching his hand, comma, she asked for her father's advice. Or Sam learned to play well. This is the way we can change the phrases or phrase fragments into sentences. We can also have clause fragments. I can leave another description for another video that explains better what a clause is. So we have that all clauses have subjects and verbs, but some can stand alone as sentences. Remember the clauses, they can begin with the pronoun, just like that, you, who, whom, who, etc. And also with words like when, where, while, as, whenever, whatever, etc. So I can say, for example, I found the purse that you described. Now it's a relative clause because it's talking about the purse. Or I can say I opened the door when he knocked. Remember, if you want to start a sentence with a clause, if you want to start it, we have to use the comma. So I can say when he knocked, comma, I opened the door. But if I use it at the end of the sentence, you don't need a comma. Now, finally, we have run-on sentences. They are overcrowded sentences. That means they have too much information, some of it unnecessary, or they're not properly joined or separated. In the sentence, we can see that we don't have a final period and one more is missing. Listen, I use a little bit very often. The reference section is my favorite part. Okay, that is actually we have two sentences. I can finish the first sentence onto the word often, and I can say I use a library often. Period. The reference section is my favorite part. Now with only a comma, remember, if we're going to use commas, we need to do a sentence with a compound verb with this two verbs for one subject. Or I can use a comma if I'm going to use a conjunction, just like and, but, or, so, yet, etc. But if not, the sentence is not correct. Take a look at this sentence. It says the keyboard makes sound when the keys are depressed. The harpsichord, a piano, and organ are keyboard instruments. The first one, which is the keyboard makes sound when the keys are depressed, here I need a period because the other sentence is another topic. It's talking about something truly different. So now I don't need a lowercase, I need a capitalization, and obviously the period. This is a practice that you did with me during classes. I asked you to add independent clauses to the following fragments: to study math, having gone there, lost in the park, about the other day. So you gave me many ideas, but my suggestions for you is to do the following. For example, to study math is difficult, having gone there was a mistake, the dogs were lost in the park, and about the other day, let's say nothing happened. In the last one, we made complete sentences by following or adding clause fragments or adding additional information to the clause fragments. And here we have 4 who came to the city when the concert ends before midnight and near the church. You did it perfectly when I asked you to participate in class. So my suggestions for you is he was a singer who came to the city. Don't pay attention to this capital S. It's lowercase, but it's my mistake. We'll go home when the concert ends. Before midnight, the movie will have been ended. And finally, we fell near the church. Some of you told me there was an accident near the church, and that is perfect, okay? So I hope this video can be very helpful for you, and you can take a look at other videos if you need extra information. So this is all for today. I'll see you